Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to getting well-informed.
Glad to be diving in.
Today we're pulling from ancient Buddhist scripture, specifically a really interesting story from the commentary on the Dhammapada.
Yeah, it's one of those tales that, well, it seems pretty straightforward at first glance. You've got a monk, an elephant trainer having a bit of a hard time, and then the Buddha steps in.
Right. But like a lot of these stories, there's a deeper message.
Definitely. It's really about where true mastery, where real growth actually comes from.
So our mission today is to really unpack this anecdote. We want to get at that core teaching, which seems to be that, look, controlling the outside world is one thing, but the real journey towards liberation, that's about mastering yourself.
Exactly. It shifts the focus inward. So yeah, let's unpack it.
Okay, so where does the story kick off? What's the setting?
Right. So the setting is Jetavana. This is a really well-known monastery park near Savatthi. The Buddha spent many rainy seasons there, gave a lot of teachings.
A familiar place for these kinds of events, then?
Very much so. He was residing there when this whole thing went down.
And who's the main character we're focusing on besides the Buddha?
It's this particular monk. And what's notable about him is his past. Before he became a monk, he was actually an elephant trainer.
Ah, okay. So he had this specific skill set.
Yes, the source even calls him Hatthācariyapubbakabhikkhuvatthu. It literally translates to the monk who was formerly an elephant trainer. And that background is, well, it's crucial to the story.
Makes sense. So what happens?
Well, one day, this monk, the former trainer, he's near the Asiravati River,
Okay.
and he sees something that must have really, caught his eye given his past. There's another elephant trainer there, and this guy is struggling.
Struggling how?
He just can't get this elephant trained. He's trying to teach it something, make it do what he wants, but it's just not working. The elephant isn't learning.
Ah, so the monk sees this and his old instincts probably kick in.
Exactly. His past expertise just sort of bubbles up. He watches for a bit, and then he offers some advice.
To the trainer directly.
The source suggests maybe he told some other monks nearby, or perhaps he spoke right to the trainer. It's a little ambiguous. But the advice itself is specific.
What was it?
He basically said, look, if you were to pierce the elephant, the word used is viheya, which means like striking a specific target. If you hit it in this one particular spot, you could train it really quickly.
Wow, okay. So very specific technical advice based on his old job.
Precisely. And, from a purely practical standpoint.
Did it work?
It did, yeah. The elephant trainer, the one who was struggling, he hears this advice, maybe overhears it, follows it, and bang, he succeeds.
Just like that?
Just like that. The elephant becomes, as the text says, well-trained. So, worldly skill applied, worldly result achieved. Good advice.
Seems like it. So the monk helped out using his knowledge. What happens next? Does he get a pat on the back?
Well, not quite. The story spreads. The other monks who saw this or heard about it, they report the incident to the Buddha.
Ah, okay. Word gets back.
Word gets back. And the Buddha then summons this monk, the former elephant trainer.
And asks him about it.
Straight up. Is this true? Did you give this advice about how to train the elephant by, striking it in that spot? And the monk says,
Yes, I did.
yep. He confirms the whole
The
thing.
Buddha's reaction is...
Surprisingly strong. A rebuke, actually.
Yeah.
She calls the monk a moga parisa.
Moga parisa. What does that mean?
It translates to something like empty man or vain man, futile man. It's quite a sharp criticism in this spiritual context.
Empty man.
Yeah.
Wow. Why? He just gave some practical advice that work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the pivot point. The Buddha immediately challenges him. He asks, essentially, what use are these trained elephants or any trained external vehicles? What good are they to you?
To you, the monk, on your spiritual path.
Precisely. He states very clearly, you cannot use these external things, these trained animals or chariots or whatever, to get to the unreached place. Agatam.
The unreached place.
Yeah. He even says you couldn't reach it with them even in a dream. It's completely the wrong tool for that job.
So if those external things can't get you there, what can?
That's the contrast. The Buddha says you can get to that unreached place, but only with a well-trained self. Attanasudantena.
Your own self. Trained.
Your own self. He's making a direct comparison. Worldly training for worldly ends. Spiritual training for spiritual ends. The vehicles are different.
So the instruction to the monk is basically...
Train yourself. Why are you worrying about training these animals? That's not your job anymore. Your job is inner work. It's a redirection of focus.
Makes sense. Stop focusing outward, focus inward.
Exactly. And then, to really drive it home, the Buddha delivers a verse, a gatha,
What's the essence of the verse?
The core message is, you won't reach that unreached destination using these external vehicles like trained elephants. But the person who is trained, the one who has trained themselves, they reach it, using their own well-trained self as the vehicle.
Okay, that's pretty clear. External versus internal.
Very clear. And the commentary, the Tassatho part of the text, it digs into this verse to make sure we get it.
What is it at?
It spells out that these vehicles, elephant vehicles, horse vehicles, you name it, they absolutely cannot take anyone to the unreached direction.
And it confirms what that direction is.
Yes, explicitly. It says the unreached direction is Nibbana, nirvana.
Okay. The ultimate goal.
The ultimate goal. And it's called unreached, the commentary explains, because you just can't get there by ordinary means. You can't travel there physically, not even in your imagination or dreams, using worldly methods.
So how do you get there, according to the commentary's explanation of the verse?
Through the trained person, Danto Pukulo, using their well-trained self, Atana Sudantena.
And what characterizes this trained person?
The commentary highlights two key things. They are nivesavano, meaning free from craving, free from attachment, and they are sapañño, possessing wisdom.
Freedom from craving and wisdom sounds like the results of inner work.
Exactly. And the commentary even gives us a glimpse into how the self becomes well-trained. It mentions two stages.
Oh, like a process.
Sort of. An initial stage focused on indriyatamena, that's training the senses. Gaining mastery over your reactions to sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touch, thoughts.
Controlling impulses, basically.
Yeah, foundational work. And then there's a later, more advanced stage, Arya-maggappavaññā. That's the cultivation of the noble path itself, the path of wisdom, ethics, and concentration that leads directly to Nibbana.
So it's a progressive inner training. First the senses, then the deeper cultivation of the path.
That's the idea presented. It's a structured internal development.
Which brings it back to the main point.
Right. The commentary concludes by reiterating, therefore, training yourself attaining, that's what's truly superior. That's what's best for you. Forget training the external elephants. Train the internal self.
And did this teaching, land with the audience back then?
Oh, absolutely. The source material explicitly states that at the end of this discourse, many people in the assembly attained significant spiritual progress. Some reached the fruit of Sotapadhi.
Stream entry, the first stage of awakening.
Exactly. So it wasn't just an abstract lesson. It was immediately impactful for those listening. It clearly resonated.
So bringing it all together.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway from this story about the monk who used to train elephants?
Well, it uses this really vivid, relatable image training. A powerful animal like an elephant takes skill, takes focus, right?
Sure. It's a clear example of mastering something external.
But the story uses that very mastery to highlight where our ultimate focus should be. It's so easy, isn't it, to get caught up in trying to manage and control the elephants in our own lives.
Yeah, our jobs, our projects, our relationships, maybe even trying to fix other people.
Exactly. Mastering skills, managing things, influencing outcomes out there in the world. We pour so much energy into that external control.
And this story says, what? That's not the main game.
It says that the real journey, the one that leads to ultimate freedom, to that unreached place of Nibbana, of deep inner peace, that doesn't depend on how well you control the external stuff. It depends entirely on how well you train yourself.
Mastering your own mind, your senses, like the commentary detail.
Cultivating wisdom, following that inner path. It's an inside job, fundamentally.
So it leaves us with a pretty pointed question, doesn't it?
It really does. You have to ask yourself, where is my energy primarily going? Am I spending most of my time trying to train the elephants out there?
Or am I putting in the work to train the self within?
Yeah, it's definitely something worth pondering. Where's the balance in our own lives? That's the challenge this ancient story still poses today.